Hi, this is Mujtaba Al-Hilo, and I'm going to be your instructor in the Gothic course, Gothic literature, which I'm going to take Wuthering Heights as a case study in this course. And of course, this is very introductory course. I cannot cover everything that relates to Gothic literature because this is a very wide, very comprehensive, very complex world. That's why it is only an introductory course. So you as students, you have to go and look for yourself and widen your knowledge about this genre. So in the beginning, let's find out what does it mean. What is the definition of Gothic literature? The Gothic, a literary movement that focused on ruin, decay, death, terror, and chaos, and privilege, irrationality, and passion over rationality and reason, grew in response to the historical, sociological, psychological, and political contexts of the late 18th and early 19th century. So this summarizes everything. This puts this genre, this school in a nutshell. This foreshadows a lot of things, a lot of theories that we are going to encounter during this course. So it is a very nice and sufficient introduction, definition for this course. So this movement focuses on ruined places, decayed places, death, terror, chaos, irrationality, and of course it was a response, it was a revolution to historical, sociological, and psychological context of that age, in the age or in the time in which this genre appeared. So of course this is only a definition, and we are going to encounter one by one in detail in the coming lectures. So let's move on to the second one. You know, in the best way to understand the definition of something is to to look for its characteristics, to its elements. For example, you cannot define what is water. Okay, you can say it is H2O. Okay, but you cannot give precise, accurate definition for water. As an alternative, you can give the elements, the characteristics, the uses, the privileges, the advantages of water. That's why there are so many things in life, in humanities. You cannot give one precise definition. That's why this is Gothic literature is not an exception to this rule. That's why here I will start defining Gothic literature and Gothic fiction by giving the most important elements that characterizes this genre. Let's start with these points, which are 7. Of course, you may add other tens of elements, but these 7 are accepted and agreed upon by most theorists and most critics, literary critics. But these 7 are not the only points, the only elements that characterizes or define Gothic genre. So let's start with these 7 points. Number 1, in Gothic literature we find dark, abandoned, decaying settings. Number 2, romanticized past. Number 3, special plot conventions. Number 4, horror. Number 5, supernatural beings. Number 6, anti-heroes. And number 7, heavy reliance on symbolism. Let's go and talk in some detail about each one of these elements. Let's go to number 1. Dark, abandoned, decaying settings. So, in Gothic literature, you find haunted houses, castles, and churches, and other constructions that have fallen into despair. You also find secret places that lead to other worlds. The outside world is dark, wild, and full of wrathful weather in forests and graveyards. So, as for the settings, these elements, these features characterize the settings of Gothic genre. So you will find haunted houses, some houses which are abandoned. They are not resided by anybody. Okay, maybe in your neighborhood you will find some houses like these. Okay, they are real interesting. You can gaze into those dark windows and just imagine what goes on beyond those walls. Okay, if you have some active imagination, you will imagine so many things, so many supernatural beings which are living and having, getting parties in those houses. Okay, I cannot imagine how some ghosts, get parties, but it's an interesting notion. So another setting or place for this Gothic literature is that we can find always some castles. In most of the traditional old school movies, for example, we find castles. Okay, we find castles, we find those big abandoned houses, and of course we find churches. Okay, churches, Christianity, Jesus, monks, the Bible. These religious references are of great importance in Gothic literature, and we are going to talk something about the place of religion, of Christianity in the Gothic genre. And of course we find other constructions that have fallen into despair. You also find some secret places. There are always in Gothic constructions, in Gothic places, you find that there are always some hidden doors, some hidden pathways, some hidden concealed rooms that nobody dares to go there. For example, in the Wuthering Heights, we have that abandoned room which nobody dares to go. Or in other movies, that we always find that there is some abandoned attic above us, or some abandoned underground floor, okay, in the house. Like, for example, the great play written by Harold Pinter, The Room, which we find that there is the underground floor. Okay, it is the source of threat to the residents of to the characters of the play, of the building. So we always find such places, such abandoned, secret places. Okay, and as for the weather, okay, we always find dark, wild, full of wrathful weather in the forests and graveyards. Okay, we find graveyards, we find thick forests that the sun cannot go through those woods, those trees. There are always mist. The weather is always misty and cloudy. And the weather is always thundering and raining. We find those graveyards which at any moment the dead people might come out of their grave and open their graves. So we find these atmospheres or circumstances in the settings of Gothic genre. Okay, that's for number one. Let's take an example. This is an interesting example from a movie called The Witch, filmed in 2015. It's an amazing movie. Okay, it represents the traditional old school type of Gothic genre, of Gothic movies. Okay, I advise you to go, or I insist that you go and watch this movie to have a comprehensive picture about the Gothic genre. So let's take this example, maybe 1 or 2 minutes long. Okay.
Sam? Samuel!
We have this dark forest full of trees that the sun cannot go through those trees, and we have that abandoned place that nobody dares to go there. So I try to give you an impression about the places that these Gothic places are. Of course, you can find yourself other examples or other representative examples better than this one, but this was a close look to what I'm talking about. Let's go to number 2. We have Romanticized Past. Gothic literature often romanticizes and revisits the past. This is an interesting point. We find that Gothic characters, those characters which we have in Gothic fiction, they always remember that beautiful past, and they believe that they had a perfect past, and now they are living in a damned or cursed present. One of the best movies that I've watched that concern this romanticized past is called The Ring. Okay, The Ring. It is amazing, and another amazing which performs greatly. She is Nicole Kidman. She performs in the movie called The Others. Okay, that's amazing. That's one of the best and one of the most scholarly movies that I've ever watched. The twist is perfect, amazing. I really loved it. So those characters like Nicole Kidman, she always tries to remember that past, the beautiful past, and how her husband was, the center, the warmth of the family. And now she lost everything. She lost her husband. She lost that stability. She lost that beautiful past. So we always find that those characters go back and revisit the past because they find tranquility, beauty, perfection in the past. They find that they have to re-establish to find again that lost past, that lost identity. So we always find references to the past in Gothic fiction. And number 3, we have special plot conventions. Common Gothic plots include revenge, familial secrets, prophecies, and curses. The past is somehow still living, breathing, and controlling the plot. In Gothic fiction, these are the some recurrent themes, okay, or plot conventions, or stories, or themes in Gothic genre. We have revenge. We always find that there is somebody trying to take revenge of some injustice which has been done to him. Like, for example, Hamlet. Hamlet is a type of Gothic genre, okay? We have the appearance of ghosts. We have that plot or theme of revenge in Hamlet. So Hamlet is another amazing representation of the Gothic genre. So we have revenge, we have familial secrets. We find when we, especially in these recent movies, okay, in the postmodern school of filming these Gothic genres, we find that those characters, when we jump directly to the climax, to the conflict of the plot in those movies, we find that the characters are dealing or are having conflict with some familiar secrets that always haunt their present. They cannot release themselves from the past, from the familiar secrets that is haunting them or chasing them. We have also prophecies that, for example, a kid or some beautiful girl always prophesies or foreshadows the future, okay? We have also curses. Curses is a cornerstone in Gothic genre. Maybe we should have some curses, okay? Curses are different in their manifestation, in their shapes, in their forms, okay? But we should have some curses in Gothic genre. And again, the past is somehow living and breathing and controlling the plot. So let's take another example from the same movie, The which we have this example of the curse. Let's watch and let's enjoy.
Thomason, take the children outside.
What does this mean? What does this?
Thomason, take the children outside.
What does this mean? What does this? William!
Children, away from this. Thomason, now.
William! Break his jaws.
Children, away from this. Thomason, now.
Break his jaws. Horrible fancy fish!
Thomas is still Sam.
Silence.
Again to the devil in the wood. They're like,
He's witch!
she's not She had bad
Horrible fancy fish!
Thomas is still
quiet
Sam.
her.
She's again to the devil in the wood.
They're like, silence! Say you!
Because
fire against me. Just to quiet her.
No.
Sign his book.
Silence!
Don't let her near me. She plays a curse on me.
Because fire
On
against
thy
me.
knees.
She's a witch.
Look me in the eye, Thomas. Nay, I'll not hear it. Dost thou love the word of God? Prove for heaven help thee. Love you the Bible? On thy knees. Love you prayer?
Yes.
Look me in the eye, daughter. Dost thou love the word of God? We are children of sin all. Love you the Bible? Love you prayer? I have raised up no
Yes.
witch in this house. Let us pray. We are children of sin all. Then we need fear nothing. I tell thee, I have raised up no witch in this house. Let us pray. Pray for thy brother. Then we need fear nothing.
You must believe him. Evil wretch.
Pray.
Our Father,
Pray for thy brother. Which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy
You
name.
must believe him.
evil wretches!
Pray.
I cannot remember.
Our Father,
Which art in heaven.
hallowed be thy name.
I cannot. What nonsense is this?
Pray.
Speak.
I cannot remember my
Our
prayer.
Father. Which art in heaven.
Alright. I cannot.
What nonsense is this? Pray you be.
Our Father.
Get on my knees and pray.
Damnation.
Pray. Pray. This is not so. Get on my knees and pray.
Damnation.
I cannot hear this. This is not so.
Cast the light of countenance upon me. Spread over me the lap of thy love. Wash me in the ever-flowing fountains of thy
Cast the light of countenance
Only
upon
thine
me.
I am. My sweet
Spread
Lord
over me
Jesus.
the lap of thy love.
My Lord,
Wash me in the
My love,
ever-flowing fountains
kiss
of
me
thy
with the kisses of thy mouth.
Holy thine I am. My sweet
How
Lord
lovely
Jesus.
art thou.
My
Thy
Lord.
embrace.
My love, kiss me with the
My
kisses
Lord.
of thy mouth.
My Lord,
How lovely
Lord.
art thou.
my soul
Thy
salvation.
embrace.
Take me to thy lap.
My Lord, my Lord, my love, my soul salvation. Take me to thy lap.
So we have watched an example of the curse and how that curse controlled the entire family. Okay, when I do not want to become a spoiler of this movie, so you can watch the complete version, okay, the entire movie by yourself, and find those Gothic elements in this movie, and how the curse controls the entire family, those kids, and the parents, and even the animals in the farm. Okay, let's go to number 4. Horror, of course, is an elementary or a fundamental point in Gothic genre. Gothic novel highlights intense, suspenseful feelings of fear, shock, dread, or disgust in the audience. Horror, of course, some believe that it belongs to the sublime, a concept proposed by Longinus. They believe that horror makes you sublime, takes you into higher rational, and emotional place. Okay, so they believe that horror is an important fundamental element in your life. You should undergo horror, as Aristotle believes that catharsis, which is a combination of horror and fear and sadness. That combination of horror and sadness and grief, it will take you into a higher sublime position. It will purge your emotions. Okay, they believe that horror and grief, they are important in one's life. Everybody should go through these 2 points. So horror, according to these critics, according to the writers of the Gothic genre, they believe that horror is an elementary and fundamental point in the Gothic fiction, and everybody should get some dose of horror during his life. Okay, otherwise he would have some boring, useless life, and horror is the spice of your life. So horror is another important feature of the Gothic novel. And we have supernatural beings. Supernatural beings like monsters, demons, witches, ghosts, vampires, and other supernatural creatures often play parts in Gothic fiction. Supernatural beings, of course, are part of the Gothic fiction. We may have even some human beings, some normal people, which are haunted by some ghosts, by some supernatural specters and beings in their bodies. So we should have some supernatural beings, some supernatural elements. Otherwise, we will have a postmodern type of Gothic fiction, okay, which we do not have enough time during this course to talk about the postmodern type of Gothic fiction. So vampires and zombies. I forgot to mention zombies here. Sometimes I ask my students, if you were to choose between becoming zombies or vampires, which one do you prefer? Of course, many answered that they would choose becoming vampires, and it's a rational answer, because vampires are some sophisticated, intellectual, scholarly, sophisticated people, okay, which live in an isolated, very, very high-style life, while we have the zombies, which are some stupid beings, some stupid brainless creatures which do not have any plan in their life, and they just move depending on their instinct. That's why we all should try to become vampires, or better to become some gods in our life and to become a source of inspiration. So let's move on and take an example of how of supernatural beings from the same movie.
Like Philip, I conjure thee to speak to me. I conjure thee to speak to me. Speak as thou dost speak to Jonas and Mercy. Speak as thou dost speak to Jonas and Mercy. Dost thou understand my English tongue? Dost thou understand my English tongue? Answer me. Answer me. Thou give? What canst thou give? Wouldst thou like the taste of? Wouldst thou like the taste of a pretty dress? A pretty dress. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Yes. Yes. Wouldst thou like to see the world? Wouldst thou like to see the world? What will you from me? What will you from me? Dost thou see a book? Dost thou see a book before thee? Remove thy shift. Remove thy shift.
So we have watched how that black goat was haunted by Mephistopheles himself, and we have here the Faustian contract, like the one that happened to Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. We have trading of the soul for the service of Mephistopheles. Here the contract, she will sign that contract with her blood, and she will get what she desires for some time from Mephistopheles or Lucifer himself. And that was another representation of supernatural beings in this scene. Let's go to number 6. We have anti-heroes. The Gothic protagonist is often portrayed as flawed, lonesome, isolated, or outcast figure who has to overcome obstacles in order to rejoin society. This is an interesting point, that this might be the beginning of this type of heroes. Okay, we no longer have heroes, we have anti-heroes. These anti-heroes are protagonists, yes, but they are not like the traditional perfectionist, amazing, handsome characters or heroes. Those heroes who do not make any mistake, those heroes who are perfectionists, those heroes who are the most powerful, okay, and mentally powerful in the story. Now we have anti-heroes. This as much as I remember, or as much as I know, that this is the beginning, the formal beginning. We had some attempts before Gothic fiction, like in Shakespeare, okay, in Hamlet. But here we have this might be the formal announcement of this type of character, the anti-heroes. We have the genesis, the debut of anti-heroes in the Gothic genre. We no longer have that perfect, that beautiful, that handsome, that mentally and physically powerful character or hero. We have now some weak, flawed, lonely, isolated, outcast characters. And they always try to overcome those problems, those weaknesses, in order to again go back or rejoin the society. This is the type of characters that we mostly encounter when we read or watch Gothic fiction or movies. And the last point is heavy reliance on symbolism. Characters, settings, and objects are weighed heavily with some symbolic meaning in Gothic literature. Gothic genre, what is really different in this genre from other types of literary fictions or genres is that they try to invest so much in on symbolism. Symbolism plays a great role in Gothic fiction. Everything is symbolized, has a symbolic meaning. Everything has a meaning. Everything has an allusion, okay, and reference to other greater things, okay. The writer of Gothic novel, Gothic fiction, the writer wants to portray or to display as much as possible, as many, appraisals or revolutionary ideas as possible. But he has little time and place in his novels or short stories. That's why he tried to compensate that lack of time and place by depending greatly on symbolic world, on symbolism. That's why everything has a meaning in Gothic fiction. Everything has a reference and allusion to other things. That's why we just should not read some words or we should not only watch some movies without paying attention to the background, to the places, to the colors, to the lighting, to the way a camera moves, to the way the characters look and speak. Everything is measured and calculated in Gothic movies, and everything is calculated in Gothic fiction. That's why we should pay great attention to the symbolic meaning of Gothic genre. And we will continue speaking about other elements of Gothic fiction in the coming lectures. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the coming lectures. Thank you. Bye bye.